Alrighty, hello, good morning. Welcome to Argentina, welcome to the Sierras. So I thought before we dive into this new renovation series, it would be a good idea to take a little look back down memory lane and see what we've accomplished in the past year or so. Obviously, we go back and forth between Canada and Argentina. Our last stint here was 8 months. Before that, we had been here for a month and a half when we were first kicking things off. So in total, it's been about 9.5 months of work where we've actually been here on the property on site. And then also while we're away, we usually hire some guys that we know, we trust, they work hard, and we give them different tasks that we want them to accomplish while we're away, mainly relating to landscaping and just maintaining the area. I actually wrote up a little blurb over on the Patreon, so if you support us on there, you probably already know everything we've accomplished in the past year or so. But I thought it would be good to actually make this a visual experience, a show and tell. So we're gonna turn this into a video so you can see exactly what we've been up to. So without further ado, I say we kick things off with the hotel, since we're standing here, and let's talk about everything we got done over here. Alrighty, so Sam is gonna begin the tour.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. When we first saw the hotel, we could barely even see it from any vantage point. So it was absolutely covered in anything you can think of. Sarsa, the blackberry bush. It had trees. It needed to be basically chopped down Rambo style, because before, the only thing I could do was sort of like walk like this through this tiny little tunnel.
Yeah, there was basically a tunnel through all the bushes.
Yeah. And like you would get nicked with the sarsa. It would be like, you know, like slicing open your skin or nicking you even on your shirt. So for it to be this open for us to see the hotel, I mean, look at it right now.
Ta-da!
We can actually start imagining what this is going to look like when it's finished. And so it's so exciting to have opened up the property. For me, it's opened up my imagination of what it's going to look like in the future. When it was all covered in bush and trees and everything, I just thought, oh my gosh, what a mess. But it's really coming along nicely in terms of the landscaping, I'd say.
Alrighty, so this is all open now. We can actually use the stairs. We used to have plants encroaching over from the side, and there was literally just a tiny little tunnel that we could walk through.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the very last things we were working on, these steps, before we went home last time. Your dad and I were doing that, and we had a couple guys also doing some landscaping. So what a difference. It's completely opened up. Now we can walk around.
We have some views if you want to take us to the end.
Let's go take a look down here. I mean, even we have better views now than in the past. It's not the mountain views we'd eventually like to have, but when we first came here, you could barely even see anything off of this balcony. Check it out. Now, ta-da!
Ta-da!
It looks quite a bit better.
So obviously there are still lots of trees that we need to cut, lots of trees that need to go. But here is the vantage point.
Yeah.
Of the terraces. 3 levels of terrace.
Yeah, you get a beautiful
were
view.
Cleared.
I think this is one of the nicest views of the main wing of the hotel right from here. You can just be looking over the balcony and be like, oh, you got the eucalyptus trees in the background. It's quite beautiful. So
I want to mention that these trees that we are chopping down, they are not going to waste. We have found multiple uses for them. Some of it is going to be used for fencing, for posts. Some of it is actually going to be incorporated into the hotel architecture. So we thought it would be really nice here in the ceiling to add some wooden beams just to give it a more rustic colonial look. So we actually measured everything out, and then we had the guy who cuts down our trees come measure, okay, you need to cut here, there. We've stored all of this wood. Some of it can be firewood. So yeah, multiple uses for everything. We've cut down some big trees that were dead or fallen, and like they were quite thick. So those we're thinking of using as like little logs and creating seating areas outdoors where people can sit on the tree trunks.
We could make benches, we could do fencing.
I know, we are repurposing and reusing everything we can. So yeah, that's one reason why I don't feel bad cutting these trees that have grown in the wrong place, because they are not going to waste. So another really big job that we accomplished last time, and this was mainly my dad, he did this while he came over for a visit, but it was to repair this railing that runs along the shorter wing of the hotel. So this wood was in really, really bad state, and he spent a few weeks just sanding it down, treating the wood. Then he put on a layer of cetol. It's like a wood protector, but it's also like a stain with a nice color. So he brought this back to life, and it's looking mighty fine, I would say. There were 4 different sections that he had to fix. 5 actually, if you count the end one. So yeah, that was a really big, really demanding job, but it was great having him here and having his help. So another really big job that we also did in the hotel, it was clearing out the gutters on the backside. So there were some areas where the gutters were just gonzo. They had like corroded, but there were sections where we were able to clear the gutters, and then we had to clear the whole drainage system for the rainwater because there was just dirt and mud in there. And it was some really fertile black soil. So that's another job that we did with my dad. And then the other thing on the back side of the hotel, we had a lot of trees that were growing there, and they were kind of like pushing this wall down. So we had to cut down those trees as well. So it's a lot more clear behind the hotel. It just looks tidier. It looks more presentable, shall we say. So yeah, we're really happy with that as well. Here we are looking like two farmers. How's the look?
Yeah, we've got the rural look down pat, huh?
So we thought we would now talk about the landscaping that was accomplished. Yes. That was a huge, monumental, gargantuan task.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, to be honest, that's what I sort of focused on with my scissors. I spent so much time cutting the sarsa bush that was all over the property. Mm-hmm. It was carving out the 2 houses. It was carving paths. But the real landscaping was actually done by a couple gentlemen here that specialize in it. They came in with their tools, and they were so much more efficient than I am with my scissors, obviously. Yes. They were able to clear a lot of the trees. They were able to clear a lot of the bush and open the property up completely.
So one of the earlier memories that I have when we first got started doing the landscaping is that when you would enter the property, on either side, you would have like zarzamora, which is the blackberry bush, this wild bush, growing like 4 or 5 meters high on both sides. We actually took a picture of you, like you're a very tall man.
Yeah, seriously.
And Sam is standing there,
just,
and
like,
you've got like
overgrown, overwhelming us. It was almost like you like escape rooms. It was almost like an escape room just to get into the property.
Yeah.
So for us to now be able to walk around freely, for the houses to be carved out nicely, for the hotel to be carved out nicely, we also have a really nice entryway so vehicles can come in now. If we have the fire trucks come in, there's way more room.
Yeah, we had to actually open up paths for delivery vehicles in order to receive construction materials and just truckloads of sand and things like that, because there wasn't a lot of space for vehicles to maneuver. So like we had to chop down, branches. Yeah. Like this place was just wild is what we're trying to get at. And then down at the bottom of the property, we've got an area with lots of fruit trees. We were also able to clear all around those fruit trees. They're very old now, so they don't actually give a lot of fruit. We'll have to replant. But at least that area has been cleared as well.
Yeah, one of the nice things that you and also just the landscaper were able to recognize is we wanted to preserve some of those nice trees. The ones that we cut down were just trees that basically grew over the 20 years that wouldn't have been here otherwise. Yeah. What we were clearing was basically the overgrowth.
Okay, so we are now behind the chalet. This is the house we are currently trying to finish. For this part of the video, I've actually got my phone and my list out because we did so much to this house that it's honestly just hard to keep track of everything. So first I'm going to show you some images of what the interior of the house looked like. When we first got here, it was just filled with boxes, mainly books, like hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of books. And then like a few family heirlooms, kitchen stuff. But yeah, the house was just packed with boxes, and obviously it needed to be cleared out. There was furniture, there were mattresses, there were desks. encyclopedias, anything you can possibly imagine. So that was a task in and of itself. Once everything in the house was cleared, we then had to clean out the house. And my goodness, first of all, we had a leaky roof. So we've got some lovely images of a very scary looking ceiling, moldy walls damaged by water. There were like buckets collecting rainwater. We found dead mice. There was like thick dirt on the floor. Is that from the mice coming in? I don't know, but we were just shoveling dirt out the window. So that was quite the task. And once all of that was done and the crews could actually come in, we found out that we had a bee infestation and a wasp infestation in the attic space, like between the ceiling and the roof. And oh my goodness, the attack of the wasps. People got stung that day. I got stung that day. But well, it was an adventure. The roof came off and then, we installed the new roof. That was quite the process. We raised the height of the roof because before it was like the ceiling was actually flat. So we raised it so that now it's more like A-shaped, which gives it more height. It makes the space brighter and lighter. It doesn't feel so cave-like. So that was a huge task, like the roof, it just needed to be replaced. Because we raised the height of the ceiling a bit, that also meant that we had to raise the height of the walls inside of the house. That was another really big task. And one thing we did was add insulation to the roof because this house used to be super cold. So we made sure to add all the insulation that was needed so we can have a nice warm and toasty house once we move in. We also redid all the electric wiring inside of the house that needed to be done. These wires were decades old. Some of them looked like they had already started to burn, so an accident could have happened in any moment. And also, there were not enough lights or electric outlets in this house because it was so old. I guess people didn't have very many things to plug in back in the day, so we added way more outlets given that Sam and I work online. We've got computers, laptops, cameras to charge, phones, and we just added more lights so that it'll be brighter and it's not like we live in this dark little cave. Aside from the wiring, we also changed all the pipes, all the plumbing. We had old pipes that needed to go, so that was replaced. We had to chisel, pick away at the walls, take everything out, put new stuff back in, and my goodness, that was another major task. Then, aside from that, we had to install a new septic tank because the old one had collapsed into itself. It had cracked and the walls of this tank just fell inwards, so that all needed to come out. We bought a new tank. We have 2 new tanks now, actually. We also had to create a leaching field because we just had a terracotta pipe that ran all the way behind the property. And then this pipe just was shooting waste out. I don't know. Was there a leaching field at some point? It seems like there wasn't. So we dug one up. These are all very boring sounding jobs because we don't necessarily have a lot to show you. It's like all this work is underground. But again, it was huge tasks that needed to be accomplished and took a really long time. As for the terracotta pipes that we dug up, those were all cracked. Some of them had tree roots growing inside of them. So it needed to go. It was just a very old system that is no longer used. So more upgrades were done in that area. Then on this side of the chalet, if you remember, we added a patio area. We actually laid down cement. And the idea is to eventually put a nice stone on top so that we have an outdoor seating area. This was also done because there's a hill on that side. And when it rains, you just get all the water and mud running down. So we built just a small containing wall so that the kitchen doesn't flood because all the mud used to pour in. And then we did things like refinishing the wooden shutters, which you can see over here. It's very common here in Argentina to have shutters for your windows that you close at the end of the day or you close them if you're going away for a while. So all of that was taken off, sanded, the wood was treated. And then if you recall, we also added sliding doors on the other side of the house, which are going to lead to a future deck, because on that side of the house you actually have views of the mountains. So it'll kind of be like a deck, like an outdoor terrace area where you can sit, have your morning coffee, and just enjoy the scenery. We also removed all the old floors inside the house. We had wooden floors. Those came off, and that's because our subflooring was sinking. So that was a big job. We had to do the subflooring, and like we had this metal rebar that we had to install, laying down cement on there. And then we started laying down what's called porcelanato. It's like a hard porcelain. It's better than a ceramic. And we chose something that has a wood look. So it's still going to feel warm and cozy, but we've got something that's more durable for the countryside, for when you come in with your big muddy boots, tracking in dirt and whatnot. So yeah, the flooring was started, but not completed. We're gonna get it done now. And I think that would be it. That's all I can think of for this house right now. There could be a few things that are just slipping my mind right now because it has been a lot, and this is a long list. But let's move on to another part of the property now. So, why am I sitting on a block of cement? We built 2 platforms that are going to hold the gas tanks for our heating system. So we're going to be using natural gas, and this is the pipe that's going to feed a network of buildings. And that was another really big job with not a whole lot to show you because all these pipes run underground. But basically we've got pipes running down to the hotel, to the chalet, to the other house we need to renovate, to my granny's house at the very end. And the idea is that we'll be able to install radiators in all of these constructions, because otherwise here you depend on a wood burning stove. And I think that's very nice, very cozy, very aesthetic. Love to have a fire roaring in front of me, but it's also a lot of work, and it doesn't necessarily heat up every room in the house. Like, the further away you are from that wood burning stove, the less heat you get. So we've actually planned to have radiators in every single room in the chalet. Like, all the connections are already there. We just have to buy the radiators and mount them on the walls. And yeah, same for the hotel and everywhere else. It'll all be heated by radiators. So what we did last year is build these platforms that are going to hold these giant tanks, and we laid down the network. And well, here you can see a little glimpse of it. But yeah, that was another big job. Alrighty, so that is our recap of everything that's been accomplished thus far that we can remember off the top of our heads at this time.
Well, if we're forgetting something, believe me, it's not too much. You did a great job with that list. So
Thank you.
It took you a while to come up with that, didn't it?
It did. It sure
It was
did.
like a brainstorming session.
So yeah, now we're getting ready for the next big push. The major goal is to finish the house.
Yeah.
So it is livable. We'll have a place to live. We no longer have to keep renting locally.
Exactly, but it's not a major work like it was the last time.
No.
What we're going to be doing is mostly cosmetic stuff. Putting things on the floor, finishing the walls, smoothing things out, literally smoothing out the walls.
Exactly.
We're hoping to get a lot done. And if we have a house to move into, mission accomplished.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it feels like we can see the finish line in sight for that house. And then the idea is to eventually continue with the hotel, start tackling this. It's going to be another big job. But we're super excited. We hope you guys are also excited about everything that's coming up on the channel with the renovation. We want to thank our Patreons, of course, who have been supporting us.
You guys are the absolute best, seriously.
Yeah, I know. So thank you guys. And if any of you are interested in checking out about what we're doing behind the scenes, well, we'll leave you a little link in the description box as well. So I think that is it for today. And in the coming videos, we'll see the actual work that we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
The present.
Exactly. So, ta-ta!
Ta-ta!